Welcome back, everybody, to Dong City, episode 56, the Mark Burley edition, April 19th, 2021. You know, we had to give Mark Burley and the White Sox people some love. Pardon us as we had some technical difficulties. Zoom did not like us this evening. As you can see, Vince is joining us. He is almost Puerto Rican with that tan he got going. So, Vince, talk to us, baby. How you doing?
I am back. Yes, the first words from my wife were that I looked like a different ethnicity coming back. This is the quarter Sicilian that is also responsible for my hatred for Aaron Boone and quick fuse when it comes to the Yankees. Now, they didn't do me any favors during this entire trip, Henry, and I think I know the reason why.
Tell me, man. Tell me so we can keep your ass out of St. Pete.
Yeah, so let's go over the timeline here. By the way, for those of you who don't know, my history with St. Pete is not a good one as a Yankee fan. I am 1-6 their lifetime. All 7 games were Yankee games. The first one I ever went to, Derek Jeter's last game at the Trop, they won.
To Dong City.
Since then, I've lost 6 in a row. Going
every ass away. Stay away. Stay away.
Every game with my wife, so we don't know if it's me or her, but I think this confirmed it because Tuesday I entered St. Pete. The Yankees were coming off winning that opener against the Jays. They lost Tuesday. They lost Wednesday. They had an off day Thursday. They lost Friday. They lost Saturday. They lost Sunday. Sunday was when I left St. Pete. So I think we now know what the issue has been all along.
Look, let me explain something to you, Vince. Even if we thought it was your wife, she makes the most amazing looking cakes. I can't say the best tasting because I haven't had one yet, but she makes the best looking cakes I've seen in a long time. So I'm on her side regardless because I'm championing for a Dong City cake. So I'm not doing anything to ruin this. So even if it wasn't you, it is you. You are the problem.
She made cupcakes for my little boys trip, so I'm gonna fall on the sword on this one. It's completely my fault. I'm technically 1-11 now if you count all those. By the way, this makes things worse. I went to the Rays game on Tuesday. They played the Texas Rangers. First time seeing the Rays not play the Yankees, and they got destroyed. So, and they got swept by Texas. So it's not a Rays thing. It's definitely a Yankees thing.
A Vince thing.
Yeah, it's a Vince thing. This is my fault. I see the Yankees win literally everywhere else I go, just not the Trop.
Yankees and win don't go in the same sentence lately.
No, not lately, and we will get to that. We have a lot to get to today. There's been a lot of hot and a lot of not so hot. We're going to give you that. We've got some highlights, individual and team-wide. We're going to go over the league, and of course, we're going to start with my favorite subject now a year running. That is COVID updates. And COVID updates, we actually have some, so it's exciting. You know, usually it's no COVID updates that excites me the most, but in this case, it's happening to 2 teams I couldn't wish COVID more on, and that is the Twins and Astros causing problems here throughout the league. So here's the confusion, Henry, and I don't think either of us know the answer to this. The Twins get COVID and they don't. Or I'm sorry, and they get their games canceled.
Right.
Astros get COVID, like half their starting lineup. They have to keep playing. I still haven't figured out why. If you're watching,
please I figured it out.
Okay.
So MLB knows that they botched the suspension and the cheating scandal. So this is their way of giving them some punishment by making them play with half a roster and dudes who are sick, who are not sick, who tested positive. I don't care. I'm not feeling sorry for the Astros at all. Let them play with half a roster. I don't give a shit.
Cracks me up, by the way, the Astros apologists in the group being like, well, we'll get to who's not later on, but this team loses a few games and it's because they got guys out with COVID. I'm like, the Yankees have been out for 2 years with injuries and they did not fall apart like this.
I'm going to call Joey out specifically on that because he hates the Astros when he's the LA Joey rooting for the Angels, but then every other time defends them. So he's on the fence. So fuck that. Fuck the Astros. Let them get sick. Let them all have COVID. Put them on ventilators if you have to.
Yeah, now that cracks me up. Twins, however, did not crack me up not playing because it robbed me of my Trout-Walsh fantasy combo, and that makes me upset. So, it's a give and take with COVID, but nothing serious. No one's in any sort of serious danger as usual. They'll get over it. We'll get back into baseball for those 2 teams a little later on. Teams that have been playing baseball. One of them, the Chicago White Sox, And that leads us to Carlos Rodon. I mean, does he win Comeback Player of the Year just for one start?
Dude, I mean, well, it's been 2 starts. It's not just one. He's been good for 2 starts. So
Carlos Rodon, by the way, I bet 27, 28 years old now. He, highly touted when he first came up. He's been hurt for 2 years, basically, hasn't pitched. You can see there, that is finishing a no-hitter, which was this close to a perfect game.
Literally this close.
For the White Sox, who seem to just throw a no-hitter at this point every single season. This is this year, and it's always random Philip Humber type guys throwing it. This year, it's Carlos Rodon. Great story. Comes back, like I said, 2 years being hurt. He comes back. He throws a no-hitter in April. I mean, that is fantastic. Couldn't be happier for him.
Drafted in 2014, drafted 3rd overall. So, I mean, it's not like the talent was always there. They always knew they liked them. Drafted 3rd in overall, 2014, multiple injuries. Tommy John in 2019. He just stunk up the joint in 2020 and was even non-tendered. He resigned in February, a 1-year deal, and it looks like it's working out so far.
Yeah, it's that's a guy. I mean, I don't think my own team was going to take a flyer on that, but that's a guy I would have taken a flyer on, especially big lefty like that. And it early on he looks good. Velocity's back.
I don't know what happened. I don't see Zoom anywhere on my screen, so I'm just gonna look at the camera. I can't see anything. I don't know where the hell Zoom went.
So far, we see you head on right now. So
okay, as long as you guys can see me, that's fine.
Henry's flying in the dark. What a day for Zoom, huh?
I can't see Jack. I'm just gonna keep looking in the direction of the camera. I mean, camera loves me anyway, so okay, keep it going.
There you go. Yeah.
But what I do want to say is the no-hitter, man. I was rooting for a perfect game. So, you have guys in the group that were kind of alerting us and putting up posts, and some people were trying to jinx it, as everyone does. There was 2 plays that stand out. Jose Ramirez hit a ball in the 7th inning that the exit velo was 110 miles per hour and had an expected batting average of 820. So this is a ball that should have been a base hit, and that ball was caught. And then there was a Jose Abreu play, which he saved at the first bat of the 9th inning. This dude made a spectacular play, stretched out. I don't know if Rob is playing it or not. Stretched out. I thought he hyperextended his right leg, I think.
I'm playing.
Absolutely phenomenal play. And like we see in no-hitters and perfect games, there's always 1 or 2 plays that always you pinpoint and you say that was the moment. We let off with Mark Burley at the top of the hour, and you remember the catch at the wall. I think they did an outline of the catch. Was it Jermaine Dye? No, it wasn't Jermaine. It was
Dwayne Wise.
Dwayne Wise. Remember they drew the outline of where he hit the wall. So you always have those plays. Then, man, the 9th inning came and there was a slider that was thrown, and if you're watching it, the ball was he had thrown 2 pitches before that, fastballs, and just blew it right by him. Blew it absolutely right by him. And then he throws a slider, hits his foot, perfect, game's over. To his credit, he comes back, he gets it. It was a hell of a moment for the group, hell of a moment for this kid himself. Ton of White Sox fans in the group, so that was a nice moment, and the 2nd of the season so far for MLB. So pretty cool.
I'm going to set an over-under right now of 4 no-hitters. So way in there. You think there will be more than 4? I think we've had as high as like 5 in a year.
You got to have the out of nowhere guy. Would Rodon fit that? Probably. You have that one guy that you said who's throwing a no-hitter. You'd get the Jake DeGroms, the Garrett Coles, the Beavers. You get all those names before you get, a Phil Humber, or some shit like that. So.
Which, by the way, speaking of Humber, I am aware he threw a perfect game. In case you're not aware, all perfect games are also no hitters. That's how that works. So just using some technical terms there.
Back to Pete, Vince.
The other thing.
Where's Melvin when I need him? Get me Melvin.
That play at first base reminds me exactly. I was at Dwight Gooden's no-hitter, only a no-hitter I've obviously seen live. Tino Martinez had almost an identical play, sliding to first to beat Griffey, I believe. It was against the Mariners, saved that no-hitter. So that's what it reminded me of immediately. But very cool. White Sox do that really well. Just throw no-hitters. So I'm like I said, happy for Rodon. That's
they need something because they're not starting the year the way we thought they would. So
No, they are not. And we will get to them later, but it's a good segue into our next segment. That is who's hot and who's not. We're going to start with the good news before we start getting to these other teams. And that's a guy who could very well throw a no-hitter. And then I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Henry, he's thrown one yet, which is kind of weird to me.
I don't think he has. I don't know how he has, and I'm almost expecting him to, chase one every outing these days.
Yeah, and that is Jacob Degrom. He's been nearly damn near untouchable, let alone unhittable. This time he does something else that I don't think he's done before, and that strikes out 9 in a row against the Rockies. Now, it's a ridiculous lineup. They don't make a lot of contact, so course doesn't really matter. But 9 strikeouts in a row is 9 strikeouts in a row. And for good measure, DeGrom's next start might have been even more dominant. So he's been ridiculous. The velocity is there. He's healthy. If you're a Mets fan, this excites. I mean, you love 101, a rising fastball. This excites you if you're a Mets fan. Not that it's any new news, but if you have DeGrom rolling and you have a guy like Stroman throwing the way he is, even without Carrasco, Mets off to a 7-4 start in first place up there. We'll get to one of the reasons why later on. But the Mets doing what they're supposed to do to start the year, given the offseason they just had.
Yeah, Jake was just, being who he's been the last few years. He reminds me of, Johan Santana and Pedro Martinez and those guys. They had these runs where they would just be dominant, like absolutely dominant for 5-6 years. And you're in the middle of that when it comes to Jacob Degrom. And, I know you mentioned, if you're a Mets fan, you're excited. I think Jake is one of those pitchers right now where if you're a baseball fan, you're excited. You want to tune in to his starts. MLB needs to just, every time this guy's on TV, that should be a national game. If he's pitching on a Sunday, that should be the Sunday night baseball game. If he's pitching Saturday, that should be the afternoon game. Whenever he's pitching, MLB should market the fuck out of that because this kid pitches absolutely amazing. He got a late start to his career, so he doesn't have that many innings in that arm. And who knows? I play with the Mets fans about his velocity and PEDs, and that's purely in jest. But what we're watching is something absolutely spectacular with this dude. And just as a baseball fan, you gotta enjoy this and you just gotta relish in it because we have these pockets of years that are just absolutely great, and we're witnessing it with Jake. We saw it with Pedro. We saw it with Lincecum. You saw it with I mentioned his name.
Scherzer.
Jesus, he was a Met too. He threw the only no-hitter.
Santana.
Santana.
There you go.
You knew the changeup was coming, but you couldn't hit it. And with Jake, that's what we have, man. We have one of those just dominant stretches in history that, if he continues, man, as funny as it may sound, you start asking, is his dominance Hall of Fame caliber? He may not do it over a real, 15 plus years, but if his peak, his 7, 8, 9 year peak is this dominant, you got to start looking at some numbers there.
Well, I mean, he's going to start to draw the Koufax comparisons, the guys who they are the best pitcher in baseball over a 7-8 year span, and that might be enough. You mentioned the innings, though. DeGrom could be a guy who's like this until he's 35. I mean, I don't know if you have really looked into his innings. They are very low for his age, like very, very low.
Extremely low, and I mean, this is a guy whose velocity is actually picking up as the game goes on.
Because he's
throwing high 90s. Yeah, he's throwing high 90s in the eighth inning, the ninth inning.
I think he's like 32, 33 now.
Something like that.
He's probably in his prime now. He has the arm right now of a 28, 29-year-old. Him and Garrett Cole, similar in their workloads and like a 3-year age difference. I'm with you. Right now, Jake Degrom and to a lesser extent Shane Bieber, every single one of their starts should be televised. Degrom is on a first, I don't care if it's April, you ride with what you have. Degrom is on a first place team. He's the best pitcher in baseball for several years now. He's in the top market in the game, and he cut his hair so he doesn't look like a bozo. These are all reasons he should be in every single, I mean, if you want to brand yourself, if you're MLB, this is one of the guys that you're riding into every logo, every all-star game, everything. Come watch Jacob Degrom pitch. He's that special right now.
Funny, if you watch Jake pitch, because I'm in New York, I get all the games. If you watch Jake pitch, we see it with Garrett Cole where he's striking out 9, 10, 11 guys every start. But what happens is that pitch count gets elevated. Jake pitches like, okay, if he's going to strike a guy out, he's doing it with 5, 6 pitches. He's not, going 9, 10 pitches. He's going to let you put the ball into play, give you contact, and he's going to keep that pitch count in that 100, 110 area where he can always go a complete game if you really need to. Plus, I think if they pushed him, he could go 9 innings every fucking outing. He's that special right now.
Yeah.
I saw Jake.
1,300 innings for Degrom.
Jake mentioned Kershaw, Scherzer, Verlander, Greinke, Degrom are locks. I agree with everyone except Jake. I think he got such a late start that he has to do some more work before we really get into that Hall of Fame talk with him. But he's getting there, man, with these starts, and then these things are starting to be must-see TV.
I agree with what Mike's saying too about Bieber. I think the competition has been a little bit lower than the other guys who are probably just as dominant. His numbers are off the charts. I mean, that's it. While he's facing the shitty competition, I still want to see him pitch every game.
I get it. I always get it. You look for holes in the theory who they're playing. At the end of the day, you play who's on your schedule. If you're dominating, you're dominating. I don't care who it is. That's who you're supposed to play. That's who they give you. You don't draw up who you play.
Yeah, and I agree with Carlos.
I think if Jake was in the American League, he may not be this dominant, but he's still extremely dominant.
Yeah, and I agree with Carlos. For me, that's the big three. It's Bieber, Degrom, and Cole. Those are guys I always want to tune in to see. Scherzer a little bit older now. Verlander obviously hurt. Those are the three guys that if they're on, I'm stopping what I'm doing. I'm trying to watch them pitch because what they're throwing is just, if you're a baseball fan, it's magic. It's DeGrom's got a 91 mile per hour slider. I mean, it's just the stuff that comes out of these arms are unbelievable. Yeah. So there's your DeGrom.
I know we mentioned Bieber. I don't think we put him in the who's hot. So real quick, I'll just drop this. First pitcher ever to have 10 or more strikeouts in his first 4 outings. That's how special he is.
That's pretty good. On to another guy now, another pitcher. He's having a hell of a couple weeks now, but really this past week, I alluded to him earlier. That was because the Rays game I went to when they got dominated by Texas started by Kyle Gibson, who threw 7 innings, 1 run that game. Kyle Gibson, by the way, not on the level of the guys we just named, but last 3 starts, Henry, 21 innings. So 7 innings a start, 17 strikeouts, nothing sexy in this day and age, but only 14 hits, 1 earned run. His last 3 starts, 3 quality starts. He's on a nice ride for an unheralded Texas Rangers pitcher, and it's all come against the AL East, and none of them were freebies by the Yankees. So I'm impressed by that.
I mean, he's pitching to a 2.53 ERA. His FIP is 2.4. He's doing his thing. I mean, he's winning. He's getting wins. He's throwing innings. So he's got 21 innings pitched so far. 7 Ks per 9. It's not bad. He's doing his thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it sustainable? I don't know, but
no, there's no way it's sustainable. But it's been nice to watch. Gibson had a little flash of brilliance a couple of years ago too, where he had a good half season to a full season. So he's getting a little older now. He's on a pretty dog shit team, but it's these guys again, fantasy, you're into it. That's a guy you can stream for a little bit, see how long it lasts.
The matchups with him.
Yeah, exactly. Playing the by the way, Jake earlier said every time we say Jake, he turns his head. I remember a couple shows ago when he left while I roasted the Cubs, so I don't want that to happen. So Jake. It's not about the Cubs, it is about the Reds though, and I know you're gonna love that. Reds are in first place in the NL Central. A little bittersweet for me. I was on their wagon last year, predicted they'd have a great season. They did make the playoffs technically, but it was not a good season. This year might be that season instead. The offense actually looks consistent and alive, which is a huge difference from last year. Sonny Gray back off the IL. Castillo hasn't figured it out yet. He's been struggling, but even with that, they're off to a 9-6 start, which in the NL Central, you want to maintain that. You'll win that division. They're already up in first place. And you had this from Joey Votto this week, which was pretty entertaining. You don't see this every day. That's your boy, one of your boys pitching, Amir Garrett. There's 1, there's 2. And I think that, they just forgot how to run
the clip. I have no camera. Are you showing the clip?
Oh yeah, we're showing. I forgot you're blind now.
Yeah, I'm playing with the settings.
Play clip.
So all right. I don't know where in the clip you are, but when he gets the second out, he's pointing. And I'm just sitting there run to third base only because I selfishly wanted to see an unassisted triple play. Like I just wanted to see the unassisted triple play. So I'm like run the third one. Obviously, you're not gonna run the third base. You're gonna toss it. But I wanted to see an unassisted triple play.
Yeah, and they don't show the toss in the highlight, but you can see Rosario is like headed to the dugout. So like, there's no chance. You're right. He could have crawled over to third base, gotten the triple play. But
I don't know what the hell he was thinking, man.
no
They
idea.
just show him just take off, and I'm like, you didn't tag up. So I don't know if he was just saying like, look, I screwed up, and I'm just gonna play it through. Like, I don't know if he was just doing that. Hey, I fucked up, and I'm gonna just milk it and see if I get caught, and he got caught.
I mean, you go through the scenarios, right? It's runners in the corners. There's nobody out. It's not a hit and run because you have a runner on third.
Right.
It's not a squeeze play because why would you squeeze play in that situation? The only plausible scenario is he thought it got past Votto somehow, but he was already across home by the time Votto catches a line drive, touches first. It's almost unfathomable what he's thinking on that play.
I think he just got caught hanging out there. It was just a bad base running play, and he just got caught. And he's got to pay the price in kangaroo court for sure.
Yeah, that's a Gary Sanchez base running play. Certified Gary Sanchez base running play right there. Just absolutely no excuse for it.
So are we saying that this is Nicholas Castellanos' team yet? Because I feel like he just took over this team. Like, this is his team, right?
They've got his identity right. He's probably the most clutch hitter on that team. I think Suarez has 1 home run so far. I mean, this team by no means is playing above its head right now. And
Tyler Naquin, these guys are just mashing.
Their wins, great, 9-6, they're not a juggernaut, but their wins, they've been destroying teams with that offense.
They are second in the NL and OPS, only behind the Dodgers and barely behind the Dodgers. The Dodgers are 811, they're at 808.
Yeah, and the Dodgers don't count. I'm not going to even include the Dodgers in any metrics this year because that team's floor is 108 wins.
So here's the thing. They're actually outslugging the Dodgers. Where the Dodgers get the edge is on base percentage.
Right. Because, they don't strike out and they're like impossible to get anyone that lined up out.
Real quick, because I know you love going off script. I know you absolutely love it.
Wasn't quick or anything. What's up?
A few years ago, Joey Votto was an absolute lock for the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Is he playing himself out of the Hall of Fame?
Well, this season he might be playing himself back into the Hall of Fame, if you want to put it that way.
So it's funny because his numbers aren't all. He's had a couple big games that kind of inflate those numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking Joey Votto is the new King Felix, who's pitched himself out of the Hall of Fame to this point. So I'm looking at, Baseball Savant, and I'm looking at all the percentile rankings of where he's hitting. And it jumps out at me. Everything is still above average or elite. So his exit velo is still elite. His max velocity is elite. His hard hit percentage is at 77. His barrels are up there. His K rate is still better than 88% of the league. His chase rate is 75% better. I don't know what's going on with Joey Votto. I don't know if he's hitting into bad luck. I know he changed his batting stance. So I think this season's a good barometer to see what he has left in that tank. Because we know contract-wise, he's on that team for a minute.
Yeah. Votto is going to be a really interesting case. He's going to be a guy that I think analytics would put into the Hall of Fame.
I thought he was locked.
He's one of those guys, though. His skill set, it's kind of like a poor man's Mike Trout in that his skill set is not sexy. But what he does is shit you won't see from anyone else. Like in his prime, when he didn't hit a pop-up for like 3 years and he had like a 460 on base percentage or whatever it was for multiple years in a row on a bad team. Like if you look at it in that context, he's absolutely a Hall of Famer. I mean, the guy just his plate discipline is otherworldly, got on base crazy. He even had, great years offensively. But when you look at his career stats, I don't know if there's anything that's going to jump out where you're going to be like, that guy's definitely a Hall of Famer. And then on top of that, like you said, he had a few years there where he was absolutely not even an average player. Yeah, so this is an interesting case.
Like you said, this is going to be an analytics case because you look at first basemen who are in the Hall of Fame and you want slugging first baseman. He's not like a giant power guy. He does a lot of things great. He'll compile some numbers, but, the last 2-3 years have been pretty rough for him. And you start to wonder if he's played himself out, but we'll see.
Jake pointing out 935 career OPS. That is a lot higher. I would have thought he was like an 850 guy. That is pretty good.
He's
935 OPS.
special, but you look at everything else. You look at the totality, and
Yeah.
he's starting to put up a few bad years where
It's definitely, I don't think he's definitively one way or the other. If he's changed his swing, if he's going to have some better luck, if he's going to go back to what he was for a few years, I think he will get in. If he doesn't, he's obviously not getting in. I think it's kind of that simple. Mike pointing out one of the most unique first basemen for sure. He's a throwback guy in this era. Those guys don't always age well in fans' eyes, but when you look back years later, and you're like a team like the Yankees who could really, really use a Joey Votto profile right now, you're going to look back and be like, wow, that guy was pretty good. And maybe we didn't appreciate him as much as we should have when he was playing.
Yeah, possibly. I just wanted to throw that in there since we were talking about the Reds.
Yeah, absolutely worth mentioning. I mean, Votto's been Mr. Red and probably will never get the credit he deserves, but there's a little shout out to the Reds. I hope they win the Central personally. Like as a fan, like I said, I declared in Baseball Life a couple days ago. That's my NL team. That's my second team. I hope they win that division. Still going to stick with the Brewers, but
I think I picked the Brewers.
Yeah,
the Brewers. That's what they're quiet. They're little quiet assassins, and at the end of the season, they'll win the division. That's just what they do.
It's a system. I think. See, Cubs fans interestingly saw firsthand what we mentioned in the preseason, which is that they're a boring system-based team who will pitch you into death. That's what happened. Not that everyone else hasn't been pitching the Cubs into death, but they will pitch you, and you'll wake up in the eighth inning and be like, how are we losing this game? How did they score runs? How have we not hit this pitcher? And that's what they do. Like all year round, they do it a little more than 500, and in this division, that's going to be good enough.
But like this, Bernie Brewer is the most fun brewer.
Yeah. It's a team I'm considering now, one of many, many trips I'm considering this year, and I'll only do like 2 of them. I'm considering seeing the Brewers this year, and there's not a single player on that team that would excite me to see, except maybe Christian Yelich, who I've already seen when he was on the Marlins. So,
and Bernie Brewer. I want to see him go down the slide, man.
I'd like to see a slide. Like that's the sad part. I want to see him slide down the slide like a 6-year-old.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think if I go to Milwaukee and watch a game, I want to see Bernie Brewer. I would fucking talk my way into trying to go down the slide myself.
This is like how I point out to anyone, if you want to go to a Reds game, like the greatest thing about the Reds game is Redzilla shooting fucking bazooka shirts at you in the 7th inning, like 3 times a game, 7th inning stretch being one of them. Those things come at you like 75 miles per hour. It's the greatest experience ever. It has nothing to do with the Reds.
So. By the way, I'm still playing with my screen trying to get this damn Zoom camera.
Okay, well, we'll go into a matchup I'm sure you did not miss and weren't blind for. We had our first absolute marquee matchup of the year. That was the Dodgers and Padres first series. And it had everything. This is if you're a baseball fan, this is what you live for. It had close games, great plays. Mookie Betts saved one game. Another game went to extra innings. Padres won the finale.
Wait. You just can't throw the Mookie thing in there just like that, man. Come on. You got to give that some love.
I didn't think he caught it until like the 3rd replay. Then I was like, how did he catch that? But the highlight we have for you right now is this was when things got to a fever pitch in this series. Clayton Kershaw on the mound, pitching vintage Clayton Kershaw style. And he's facing Profar. This is one of those situations where I actually kind of side with people I don't usually side with. Profar takes like a little bit of a hack, a little Ellsbury. He hits the catcher's glove. He gets the free bag. Kershaw at that point is pitching a 1-hitter in 4. And yeah, if I'm Kershaw, I'm probably a little upset. That was a little Bush League. Reminds me of Conforto sticking his little shoulder out to win the game. I don't like things like that. It's a smart baseball move. I'm not complaining about that. It's a little Bush League, and that's what Kershaw was upset about. I mean, you can't see it, Henry, but his swing is just so outlandishly not his natural swing. I didn't like it.
Watch on the Facebook group, but there is like a 15-second delay. But I don't, it's hard. I'm a big Kershaw fan, so I'm going to kind of always stand for him and lean toward him. At first, I didn't think it was a big deal. Then I saw the replay, and I'm like, it looked like he did that on purpose. But then I saw another replay, and I'm like, there wasn't enough time for him to think about that, to do it on purpose. It's like every time I see a replay, I feel different about it. So I
Yeah.
really don't know if it was intentional or not.
It's definitely not 100%, but in my mind, he kind of stuck the bat head out knowing he got beat and he
I
got
think
away with it.
I one of the times I saw it, I said, okay, he was trying to check swing and it was a really bad check. So I don't know. Like I said, every time I watch it, I come away with a different viewpoint. So I mean, it's one of those weird things, man. I know, what I did like is Profar is substantially smaller than Kershaw. And when
Yeah.
Kershaw was mouthing off, Profar was ready to go. And I was like, okay, I like that, but I think Kershaw would have whooped his ass.
I'm pretty sure. And yes, Jake, exactly like when Jeter faked getting hit by the Rays. That is one of those Bush League plays where, it was my team, so I'll take it. But it did he need to do that? No. Was it absolutely a foul ball? Yes. But hey,
You
years
mentioned
later,
fake.
Kevin Cash would have absolutely supported that move. So, tough shit for the Rays.
Totally irrelevant, but you mentioned faking, and my brain, my ADD brain went there. I'm going to put this in the boxing group. There was a boxer over the weekend that got hit in the ribs and faked like he got hit with a low blow, went down, took the 5 minutes. The other fighter got disqualified, took my dude out in the stretcher, and when you see the replay, was never touching his groin.
That's some Paul Pierce shit.
The greatest shit ever. I gotta put this in the boxing group again. Totally irrelevant, but we said
Yeah.
so.
I like that. But Padres won that battle. Dodgers win the war. They take 2 out of 3. No one's beaten them this year in a series. This is one of those teams, reminds me, I think it was the 95 Indians. They didn't lose a series till like June, and it was to the Yankees. I think you're going to see, and that team shortened season went 144. So they're probably like at least 110 win talent. I think you're going to see that this year. There's no team straight up I'd pick to beat the Dodgers in this series. You might get like a feisty Giants just on account of the rivalry, but Dodgers may go into like June without losing a series. That's how good this team is.
So this is where the marathon of the game will show itself. Dodgers are just loaded. We knew that coming into the season. We knew what their farm system is. We knew, all the right buttons they pushed, the players they got. They can move guys around. They have 3 or 4 guys that play 4 or 5 positions. I mean, they're just, if you want a perfectly built baseball team, that's probably as close as you're going to get. So, but it's baseball, and you play the game on the diamond, and there's always a team that comes out of nowhere. It's very rare that the best team wins everything.
Yep.
You'll get a fluky team, let me see who's high in the standings that has no business being there. Cincinnati, you'll get a team like that they'll just be hot going into the playoffs and win it all. And so I want to see the Dodgers be the best team and smack the shit out of everyone in the playoffs as well, because there were 2 series last postseason that they had no business winning.
Yeah, no, you're right.
3 if you include the World Series.
Yeah, I that's part of it, right? Like the 98 Yankees, I thought one of the things that made them so special is that they went 11-2 in the playoffs. They swept around. They were down 2-1 for a minute against a very good Indians team, coming off, by the way, a World Series appearance that they came within a game of winning World Series then, 97. And then they just won the next 7. And they beat a very good Padres team that had like 3 Hall of Famers on it that I think are underappreciated because they got swept. That's part of it. And like the 2018 Red Sox, another good example. They steamrolled in the
They were the best team all season, correct?
Yeah,
but then you get a team like the 2001 Mariners, who were the best team. I think, do they still hold the record? 116 wins.
Tied with the NL. It's the AL record. Yeah, 116.
116 wins, and they dick limped out of the playoffs with nothing, and it's hard to maintain that status of being the team to beat and then taking it all the way. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, regular season, because I totally agree with you that you run into a hot Castillo and Gray pitching 4 times in a series. Team like the Reds, absolutely. For the regular season, the floor of this team is the 2018 Red Sox. That's how confident I am. They will win at least 108 games. That's my prediction. That's how good they are.
Corey Seager just got hurt and he's going to be out for a while. And I think this team just plays like if he wasn't even there.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's what Friedman's created. He's created it. Doesn't matter.
which is why I think he won't re-sign there. But that's another story for another day.
So absolutely, Dodgers. If you're not watching them, if you hate them, love them, whatever, you should tune in, because that is the way baseball should be played. This is one of the greatest teams I think we're ever going to see, assuming they finish the job. We'll see.
I was bitching and moaning that they weren't a Sunday night baseball game. I know that they are next weekend, but you see that, man, you got 2 weekends in a row. Market that. Tatis coming back this season at this point. And everything was on point. First at bat, back hits a home run. Everything was there. The two loaded teams, the two fun teams with all the stars, market the shit out of those two teams in that matchup.
Every single Dodgers Padre. This is gonna be, without the prior history, really. This is the 2003-2004 Yankees Red Sox. You're going to see two teams that hate each other, two teams with a lot of pressure to win, two teams expected to be there in the end. And you're going to see some fireworks this year. You're going to see really good classics. And those are two really good every single game should be nationally televised.
ESPN, please stop putting the Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball. Please.
Oh my God, just stop. Just
don't put the Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball.
I hope the Cubs are the cryptocurrency of baseball. Just shoot them to the moon. So they're just, I'm so sick of hearing about it. I hope you all make your millions of dollars in fake currency, whatever. I just don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about the Cubs anymore. They're so embarrassing.
You leave me alone with Dogecoin. I have my bunch. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I hear the phrase "to the moon" one more time. It makes me crazy. And you got that little rocket emoji that always accompanies it. It's the worst.
For the record, and you're my witness, I was in at 2 cents.
You were, yeah, and you're not obnoxious about it either. And I don't. If Erin's watching, I'm not even attacking you. I think it's adorable that she has no idea how stocks work, but she loves cryptocurrency stocks.
At 41 cents right now. It started at 2 cents.
Just ridiculous. Yeah, so that's how I feel. The Cubs are cryptocurrency. Fake team. No idea what they're going to become. Probably not in it for the long haul. Sick of hearing and seeing them. That's it. Good segue. Now, honorable mentions that while we wrap up who's hot and get to who's not. Oakland, whatever you felt about them that first week of the season, I know the Astros knocked them around. We made fun of them a little bit. With the Astros were getting posts like they're going to be in first place all year, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Astros are 7-8. Don't care about their COVID problems. Everyone's got problems. The Oakland is not in first, but they are 9-7. This was a team that's now won 9 out of 10 because they started 1-6.
You guys know I was high on Oakland this season. They started off slow. You guys made fun of me. Now I tell you, fuck you. Me and Manny were the only two people that believed in it. I hope Manny's still in the chat. But yeah, Oakland is absolutely hot, and they haven't been mentioned anywhere by anyone. No. Yeah. Right now, they are 7-3 in their last 10, and they're on. 9-1.
Hottest team in baseball now.
8-game winning streak, and they're 1 game behind the Seattle Mariners in first place. I'm still in on Oakland.
They'll be in first by May 1st.
They'll be in first by this week.
Yeah, it's red hot. By the way, still a negative 11 run differential because they got just murdered that first week of the season by everyone. So, here comes Oakland. We both had them winning the division in the preseason. This is just what you hope it happens to other divisions and it starts to balance out.
If they go 20-0, we're going to get another movie featuring Brad Pitt.
I'm down for any movie feature with Brad Pitt. So
where they don't win anything, but they celebrate.
Let's look. This is what my ceiling is with Oakland. They're definitely winning the West in my mind. They are not winning the World Series. I don't care how hot they are.
I had them, if I'm not mistaken, I had them going to the ALCS.
I think I have them losing in the ALDS, which is like their rightful place to lose. Xander Bogaerts, by the way, Boston was the toast of the town until they played a real team. And Xander Bogaerts, this is the very weird stat, and I only know it again because of fantasy. Xander Bogaerts this past week was 10 for 25. He had 4 doubles, no home runs. 2 RBIs and no runs scored, batting cleanup for the Red Sox, who I believe lead the AL in runs scored. And the Red Sox, 9-game winning streak snapped by the White Sox. Our little friend who likes to post updates, nowhere to be seen for when the White Sox sweep the doubleheader yesterday. Now all of a sudden, Sox beat the hell out of Giolito on Patriot Day, and Sox fans resurface. No surprises there.
I think his name is Eloy. Is it Eloy?
Yeah. Um, Xander Bogaerts on the season, he's hitting 386. He has 4 runs scored and 6 RBIs batting cleanup. It makes no sense whatsoever.
So, Vince, if I tell you real quick, gun to your head, give me the top 5 shortstops in baseball. Are you naming me Xander Bogaerts?
Yes.
No,
And
you're not.
I
No,
would
you're not.
have done it last year and the year before, too.
Most people are not. Most people are going to
He's totally underappreciated.
that I agree with. Most
Yeah.
people are going to give you Lindor. They're
Mhm.
going to give you Story. They're going to give you Seager. They're going to give you Turner. They're going to give you Tim Anderson. They're going to give you Marcus Semien. My man got paid 6 years, $120 million in 2019. Since then, he is the number 1 shortstop in F4.
I was going
Number
to
one.
say I'd take him over every single guy you listed.
Number 1. My man is about as underpaid as they come. When all these shortstops get paid at the end of the season, he's going to sit there, he's going to look at his agent, he's going to say, what the fuck did we do?
Yep. Aaron, sorry, not Eloy. That was
Iran, what kind of fucking name was that?
Xander, that was a tremendous, the smartest decision of the last 3 years by the Red Sox since signing JD.
Yeah, Jake saying Trey Turner is the most underrated shortstop in baseball. I'm going to go with Xander Bogaerts.
I'm going with Xander too. I'm with you, Jake. I think Trey Turner's underappreciated, but Xander holds that title. And I say that as a Yankee fan. Defense not elite, but the offense way more than makes up for it. And his defense is not bad. It's just not, Francisco Lindor.
His splits aren't bad either. So, like you get a guy in Boston and you're like, okay, maybe it's, it's Boston. His splits are not bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think JD probably ages pretty well. But
JD.
That's a good. They have a good 3-4 for the next few years. That's definitely part of what's fueling that offense.
That team will be built around Xander Bogaerts. I mean,
yeah, by far best player, best contract on that team.
28 years old. He's going nowhere. He's signed through 2026, which he'll be a free agent at 34. So he got his only payday.
Yeah. Well, hey, win some, you lose some.
But yeah, you hear about Devers, you hear about JD, you hear everyone. You don't hear about Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, you really don't. I'll give it to him. Look, I have to add my trolling disclaimer. He's hitting in a Little League stadium because I hear that every single time the Yankees offense does anything, it's always discredited by a short porch and right. Xander is absolutely in a hitter's park as a righty with the short monster in left, but it doesn't matter. That his bat would play.
You know what it is? Because it's Boston. They can't have more than one dark superstar on the team.
He's got the personality of Plato. I'll add that. The dude is not entertaining whatsoever. Worse than I'd say.
You think that they saved that money with Bogaerts? They could have paid Mookie. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, we letting Mookie go in his prime to reset the cap is one of the silliest things a team like Boston could ever do. But every big market team does something like that eventually to save some money. And that's really all it is, just saving money. There's no desire to win in that transaction. So anyway, Xander red hot going into this week. Now, who's not red hot? We've got 2 teams who had a hell of a week. One, we've actually mentioned both. Houston Astros, one of them. They've now lost 7 out of 10. I think it's even worse for this physical week. They're now under 500 after they were the toast of the town 4 games into the season. Thank you, sample sizes. And the other one's the New York Yankees, who have the worst record in the AL. They have lost 8 out of 10. They've lost 5 in a row. They are 1-5 against the Rays. They are 2-4 against the Blue Jays. They're finally, and maybe this is a sign of things to come, playing a team that is not in the AL East and not named Blue Jays or Rays. We'll see what happens, but they look absolutely, both these teams just look like they're completely sleepwalking lately. I mean, not even a pulse, but at least the Astros have an excuse. The Yankees really don't have anything.
The Astros have a built-in excuse. I'm not letting them off the hook, but they do have a legitimate excuse. The Yankees have no excuse. You can't say it's the injury bug because for the most part, they're healthy. You're missing Luke Voigt, so what? That's just another bunch of strikeouts that's not in the lineup right now. You're missing Severino. Big loss. You're missing Britton, big loss. Other than that, your main cogs are healthy. They all look like shit. Yeah. You can't get a starting pitcher not named Garrett Cole to get out of the 4th inning. You can't rely on your bullpen because the bullpen has been absolutely lights out. They've had 2 hiccups, and that's because you're asking guys to go long innings. This team looks like shit. They're playing like shit. There's no excuse for it. I am just everything that we get as Yankee fans of people trolling is well deserved. They're hitting 210 as a team. Their on base percentage. They built this team on base percentage and home runs, right? That's been the motto. On base percentage and home runs. They're getting on base at 296, and their slugging is 346. Where's the power? Where's the on base? They're not swinging at pitches. Aaron Hicks doesn't know how to swing a fucking bat anymore. Clint Frazier is not swinging. I'm in the Clint Frazier fan club. You know, I let him play, and the Yankees are letting him play, and he's doing absolutely nothing. And for all the complaints, Vince, and other Yankee fans about Brett Gardner's still outplaying this kid in limited action. So at some point, you have to say, when does Gardy play more? And then we'll let everyone complain, oh, this is why he was signed. Say what you want about Gardy. He's old. Maybe he should have retired. Maybe the Yankees should have cut bait. Just one of the most productive outfielders on this team in limited play.
With the caveat, he is hitting 240 with 320 slugging. So
that's still better than
that is probably the best of anyone not named Aaron Judge.
DJ's not having a DJ type year. He's having a good year, but he's not having a DJ year.
I was going to say, DJ's hitting 286, 375, and you wouldn't know it because every time he's up with men in scoring position, he seems to hit into a double play. Odor's god awful. Urshela 250, 291. That's not going to cut it.
So I understood the Rougned Odor signing. Now you got to get rid of the experiment's done.
It's not working. It's not working fast. And granted, you know, a lot of people say we exaggerate, whatever. It's only 15 games in. Wish that, you know, we try rooting for a really bad team. This is, like I said, I've said it before. This is not this season. This is going back through all of last season, and it's going back to everything we've seen in the playoffs. This is just they're starting the year like they play in big moments all the time. And every single player, Aaron Judge, 255, 321. Giancarlo Stanton, 176, 236. These are averages and on-base percentages I'm giving you. Clint Frazier, 167, 250. Jay Bruce, now retired, 118, 231. Gary Sanchez, him and his great new swing, 237, 356. A lot better than it was.
I was going to say, yep.
Still not going to cut it. That's not a guy for me that I'm building. I'm extending by any means. And I can get a lot of catchers who can at 237 play inconsistent defense. That's not a problem. It's a team that Gleyber Torres 196, 317. These guys love walking. They love not swinging. That's the weirdest thing about them. And when they swing, it's double plays, which is also the weirdest. They have the highest ground ball rate. They are the statistically worst team in the American League at hitting a fastball. The most basic aspect of baseball, they are not doing. They have the worst pitch recognition of balls in the strike zone. This is a team that can't hit fastballs in the strike zone. That's what that means. You can't hit fastballs in the strike zone. You can't hit. That's a problem.
You know, if it weren't for the Colorado Rockies, the Yankees would be the worst team in baseball.
It's unbelievable. They do
get the American League. If you take out the Rockies, the Yankees are the worst team in baseball. And yes, it's early, and I get it. But when you build your team on power and nothing but power, you have one contact hitter. The other contact hitter on your team, you can't find a spot for him in Andujar. When you have a power team and what you're experiencing, a power outage, do I think the Yankees win the division? Yes. Do I think the Yankees win over 90 games? Yes. When you start this slow, questions start to mount. What you're seeing now is what you see in big game situations because you're facing better players, better pitchers. Those balls, they're not going to look bigger. They're going to look smaller. Moment's going to come up and you're going to shrink because you're doing all or nothing. You can't base your team on home runs or not, and that's what this team is based on. And I've always been on the Brian Cashman bandwagon, and I always will be. But you have to start holding him accountable for some of these signings and for the construct of this team.
Yeah.
Aaron Boone's a shitty manager. We know that. Brian Cashman put this roster together on whatever intel he got from his analytics team. Building a team on power doesn't work. It just doesn't. You can't find a team that's won the World Series lately built on power and nothing but power. It's not going to happen. Not the Red Sox, not the Dodgers, not any team in the last 5, maybe even 10 years that are solely built on power win championships. It doesn't work.
Right. That's the key. You can't be, and there are statistics where they are not technically one dimensional. They do hit opposite field. They were not among the leaders last year in strikeouts, but when push comes to shove against good pitching, they do everything like this. This is the team we see against elite pitching in the playoffs because of what you just said. They're all the same type of hitter. One of the things that's driven me crazy about this core is how cold they get. Again, we'll use the Red Sox as an example. Xander Bogaerts and JD Martinez have slumps like any other hitter, but they don't have monthly slumps. We're talking these guys disappear for months at a time. And it's fine if you have one or two of those guys. You have Judge or Stanton, for example. These are guys who are 6'6", 6'7". Strikeouts are going to come with the territory. If you hit 40 home runs, great. You can't have guys like Luke Voit coming back, not going to be much better. You can't have Rougned Odor. You can't have Aaron Hicks is turning into that type of player. Clint Frazier is turning into that type of player. Gary Sanchez is that player. You cannot have all those guys in the lineup. And what makes me sick, Henry, we didn't hear a whole lot of rumors about Michael Brantley. We didn't hear a whole lot of rumors about Andrelton Simmons this winter.
I will say, Brent
Gallo and Kyle Schwarber. It's the same story over and over again.
We did hear Brantley, and Brantley was dickless, and he just did not want to come to a big market.
It never picked up steam, but I am willing to believe Brantley. And I've heard this outside of just rumors. I've heard it from we'll call it someone within the Indians front office. Michael Brantley once upon a time said he does not ever want to play for a big market team. Yeah. So I'm willing to buy that, but that profile, it's very clear, is not something the Yankees feel they need because they have DJ LeMahieu, and the mindset needs to be we need 3 DJ LeMahius, not one that we can cross a box. We need 3. And instead, they're going after guys like Schwarber and Gallo, who are the same player as Stanton, the same player as Sanchez, the same player as Voit, and this is what you run into. These guys can get colds to the tune of 40% strikeout rates for weeks at a time, and they can get cold to the point where they have 3 hits in a game. And you can't have that for a team day in and day out. Yankees have 9 out of 15 games where they have scored 3 runs or less this season. 9 out of 15 games. You should have 3 runs or less a few times in a month. They've done it 9 times already to start the year. It's unacceptable. And by the way, they haven't been playing great pitchers. They faced Adam Wainwright twice, Michael Wacha twice. They have faced the Blue Jays dog shit pitching staff most of this year. Even the Orioles, they scored 7 runs in 2 of those games. You take those 2 out against literally the worst of the worst pitching in the league, you're talking about 13 games, and in 9 of them they scored 3 runs or less. It's unbelievably porous for a team with this kind of payroll, with these kinds of expectations, with these kind of stats on the back of a baseball card. It is embarrassing. They should be humiliated.
It's horrible. I mean, you have a guy like Aaron Boone that holds a team meeting Friday night, and they go out and get punched in the dick Saturday and Sunday.
Lifeless.
What is the meeting for?
They are lifeless. They don't even look like they care.
Here's the thing, and then you make the decision to go with an opener against the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays run laps around the Yankees when it comes to analytics. The Rays run laps around everyone, but especially the Yankees.
It's not the way you beat them.
Dude, this reminds me of the playoffs when they got cute and started an opener against the Rays. It doesn't work. You have Michael King there who's built to be a starter, and you bring him in the 2nd inning. Doesn't make sense. What they did Friday makes no sense. What they're doing makes no sense. And the power outage is leading on the field because the Yankees are horrible on defense. If you go to fieldingbible.com, they have team defensive run saved. The Yankees are tied for last with -7 defensive run saved. -7. And Clint Frazier's playing like shit on defense. Judge, you can tell there's been at least 3 balls that I've seen this season that Aaron Judge in previous years goes out and get, and you can see him pull up, not dive. You can just see he's scared to be hurt.
Scared to death to be hurt. That's part of the problem with him.
I keep saying you have to flip him and Stanton. You have to play them both in right field and DH. You got to rotate them. Clint Frazier, I'm willing to deal with that because he's a young player that needs playing time. I'm willing to do that. But even him, everyone, Gleyber Torres, Jesus Christ. So here's the problem with Gleyber Torres. He's not a shortstop. If only there was a podcast that aired every fucking Monday that told you Gleyber Torres is not a good defensive shortstop. I wonder. See what happens. Gleyber Torres sucks at shortstop. So now Gio Urshela has to scoot over to his left to cover some of that range. Now, I don't know how many balls I've seen close to the bag on third base getting by Gio Urshela because he can't get to it because he's too busy covering ground on his left side for Gleyber Torres, who shouldn't be at shortstop to begin with. So this team is just, it's a lot of really good players who are playing out of position and out of character, and I just don't like it. And again, it's going to get better, but while they're not better, I'm going to shit on them because this is what you're supposed to do. You have to keep it real with your team.
And out of position, out of lineup, you got DJ batting leadoff. Has never made sense to me. I get that he's a good on base guy, but it doesn't make sense. You have Hicks batting third.
No sense at all.
Judge and Stanton back to back, which never makes any sense. You haven't moved Gio up. I know he's only hitting 250, but on this team, that's pretty good. And at least he's a kind of a complete hitter. He can go to opposite field. He'll go with a pitch sometimes. Gleyber Torres, it's like he hit 38 home runs and he fell in love with it like every other player on this team.
Fucking head.
Completely mental. We've moved him around every position possible between second and short, back and forth, back and forth. I agree with you. The footwork, the mindset, the left to right, the throwing accuracy are not there for him at shortstop. They weren't there last year. They're not there this year. They weren't there in spring training. He doesn't have it. He'll make a nice play once in a while, but if you can't make the routine ones, it doesn't matter. And I am clenching my ass every time Gleyber Torres has to throw a ball to first.
Absolutely.
You can't have that on a shortstop.
You can see, as a fan, you can see a player's comp. You look at Frankie Lindor, and even though he's not playing to where he should be, there's a ball hit to Frankie Lindor. Body language, his confidence is through the fucking roof. A ball hit to Gleyber Torres, he's hesitating, he's double clutching his ball. You can see an error coming before the ball leaves his hand. I already know when the ball is going to be high or it's going to be in the ground because you can just see the way he's setting up. That kid has no confidence right now on defense.
And he's swinging out of his shoes. 2 strikes, too. It's insane. He's swinging out of his shoes with 2 strikes. I've never seen. I mean, literally, he's losing his back foot from being planted. He's swinging so hard with 2 strikes.
Like you said, he's got home run happy. I mean, we don't need him to be. We need line-to-line hitters. And I hate that Miguel Andujar is hurt because the first base void would have been perfect for him. Put him at first base, put him in the lineup. Have that kid was fun to watch, and he never got a chance, and he probably will never get a chance with the Yankees if we're being honest.
Yeah, I don't see that changing. They just for whatever reason hate him, probably because he's not Joey Gallo or Kyle Schwarber. By the way, this wraps up like 3 different segments. The boon-headed we wanted to add in was the picture you saw earlier, Brian Cashman with the weird Yankee Stadium background.
Oh, you put it up?
Yeah, Rob had played it earlier. Here it is again. This is somehow even more humiliating than their actual gameplay. Brian Cashman with like a choppy Yankee Stadium background on a Zoom call. He called the Zoom call today. We're all excited, thinking maybe he'll shake something up. No, he's got confidence in the team. They're going to turn it around. He's disappointed. Everyone's performing poorly. By the way, 2 games ago, Aaron Boone said the exact same thing directly to the players. What happened? They looked humiliating and embarrassing for 2 more games, 2 more losses to their rival Rays. So Aaron Boone has lost, as far as he's lost his clubhouse. They didn't change a thing. 2 more games since Aaron Boone gave that speech, the Yankees had less than 3 hits in 7 innings. I mean, this is like dead ball era stuff. 3 hits or less in 7 innings, I think at least 5 times this year. And we're talking against bullpen, and we're talking against guys like Michael Wacha who have no business shutting you down. Michael Wacha had a 7 ERA, and he shut down the Yankees twice. It's unbelievable. So that's your boon-headed. That's also your we were going to talk about the Yankees' offensive stats later. We gave that, and it's also part of who's not.
Like you said, you got the press conference, which that could have been a tweet.
Yeah.
We're in 2021. What you gave the reporters in the press conference could have been a fucking tweet. If you're not making any changes, there's no need to call a Zoom call press conference. None. If you're gonna do it, you gotta go boss style and flip the table and fucking fire somebody. Fire Marcus Timms if you have to make an example of somebody. Do something. Bring in Beltran somewhere on the coaching staff. Do something and shake shit up.
Only thing I can say with an HR background is I kind of liken this to like you get a talk from your manager and the manager's disappointed, gives you words of encouragement or whatever. And then you get a talk from their manager and all of a sudden you're on a performance plan. I feel like
Yeah,
we're at that stage now from a corporate standpoint. The next stage is inevitably has to be a shakeup. And maybe that's, if they continue playing like this through April, they get themselves in an 8-9 game hole to first place. Because then all of a sudden you're talking all year to make that up. And this is not a team that plays with a sense of urgency. They never have with under Boone. They never will. I don't have confidence they can make that up.
I'm
So
ready to go dig up Don Zimmer and put him on the bench.
anyone who actually is a leader. Let's
Hire Timms, hire Beltran.
completely with you. Let's get into a little bit of a higher or a little bit of a happier baseball highlight. This is a dong of the week. We used to show you 10. We want to narrow it down to 1, hopefully going forward. And this one's an absolute bomb from aforementioned Kyle Schwarber. See how that all ties up. This is Kyle Schwarber hitting one. I love when they hit it so hard. Right now we're just showing his angle, which is a pretty cool angle. I like these angles when they show the swing itself.
Is that the on-field camera that I'm in love with?
Yes. Yeah. This is your thing now.
That is my thing.
Kyle Schwarber, if you see where it lands, I love when the camera can't find it. That's what happened there. He hit it somewhere in right field, and the camera just had no idea where it went. So that's fun. I think, Henry, I don't know, do you have the actual stats on that home run, like how far it went?
No, I did, but it's lost in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, for those of you wondering, I am tan from vacation, but I might as well be getting just so hot right now that I'm turning tan talking about the Yankees. So, anyway, it was a bomb from Kyle Schwarber.
You went away to go become Puerto Rican, man. I get it.
You see how wise my baseball acumen is this week. It is because of this tan now. I'm like even smarter than I was when I left.
Your wife is going to be all over you this week, man.
Oh yeah. The darker I get, the happier she is. So we get into.
I guess once you go tan, you never go back.
Right, yeah, I need a few more pool days, and all of a sudden you're gonna really see the Sicilian come out. So we move into our last segment here. That is statements of the week, and we wanted to address the White Sox. We talked about Rodon earlier. White Sox still under 500. Lost today to the Red Sox. They got beat down, so they're 8-9. But splitting with the Red Sox, still a statement for me for the White Sox. I think they're going to turn the corner soon. You can see sort of that wheel start turning. Giolito's not going to get bombed every time out. Sox got 6 on him in the first that essentially ended the game. But the White Sox splitting in Fenway, Red Sox came into that series in 9-game winning streak. So getting that split, I think, is a step in the right direction for what I consider to be one of the AL Central favorites. So that's a statement. Dodgers are doing everything they're supposed to do to start a season. They're 13-3. I mean, this is a team too. Sometimes you get this hype and maybe they struggle out of the gates. You're not seeing that. And they're defending champs. Like, this is a team that doesn't necessarily have to be hungry. They are hungry, and they're showing it. 13-3. They take their first series from the Padres. So that first kind of barometer series there, they came through. And Mookie Betts is the reason why, with that catch in the middle of the game to save that game and win it for the Dodgers.
I'm going with Oakland.
Oakland is red hot.
8-game winning streak, ascending to the top of the AL West. That's where I'm going, brother.
That's a nice turnaround. We'll see if a team like the Yankees can do it, because last year they lost 15 out of 18 and they won 10.
I do want to give honorable mention to the Mets. The Mets have been playing great baseball. They're having fun. I do feel bad for them because they have a ton of doubleheaders coming up. I think they play 2 this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're trying to play catch up for a few rainouts and a few COVID issues with Washington. But yeah, the Mets are having fun, man. 7-3 in their last 10.
465 walk-off. Are we talking about Freeman here?
Was that Freeman's home run or Schwarber's?
So. Yeah, guys, clarify. Are you talking?
No, it's Leon. So he was talking about Schwarber.
All right, so yeah, 465 is a legitimate bomb, and it was a walk-off. So
no, wait, how could I forget? That is the longest home run of the season. That's what it was. That's why I put it in the chat.
I thought you mentioned that earlier. Yeah,
that is the longest home run. That is the longest home run of the season. Correct.
I thought we had a 480 earlier in the year.
No, it's not. Judge hasn't hit it yet.
Okay. So, yeah, here it is. All right. Thank you, Rob. This is the shot we wanted to see. We're showing now where it lands, and I legitimately have no idea. It may have gone over the seats. Oh, yeah, there it is. This makes it, yeah, that was a 1-0 walk-off, too. That's sweet.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at the replay on the Facebook. It went third deck, didn't it? Yeah, I think it went third deck.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it landed third deck or just cleared the bleachers, but it went somewhere that I cannot identify. And for
You hit
that,
the longest home run of the week, you're getting dong of the week.
yeah, exactly. Rays made a statement in a different way. They are 5-1 against the Yankees. They are 3-7 against everyone else, and got swept by Texas, who might be the worst team in the AL. So not sure what to make of that so far. And then you got the Royals and Mariners out there. Look, the Royals. Oh, by the way, we're gonna skip right over the Cubs' offensive stats, but real quick, just to show that the Yankees aren't the only team just in hell. Eric Sogard's batting 115 with a 111 on base percentage. That cracks me up. Boat 171, 286. Matt Duffy, old friend, 100, 250. Javi Baez 214, 267. Jake Marisnik 200, 294. Ian Happ 167, 310. Jock Peterson, nice. I heard from some Cubs fans in Bleacher Nation he was hitting 40 home runs this year. 149, 281. Jason Hayward, 196, 241. Absolutely worth the contract because of those motivational speeches he gives. That's why I want to pay a guy $23 million a year, whatever he's making. Yeah, that's the Cubs offense. So they've got their own problems going over there.
Cubs contract. Just a reminder, Javi Baez at one point turned down $180 million.
Yeah, great decision.
He's not getting anything near half of that.
Yeah, Yerman Mercedes 480. Now we have a conspiracy on this longest home run. Might have been longest NL home run since that's
the Yerminator got 480.
Yeah, he hit a dong and a half.
Didn't he pitch today, or was it yesterday?
What's that?
Didn't he pitch in the game?
Wasn't that a studio? I get they're both fat, so I'm confused too.
I think the Yerminator was a relief appearance either today or yesterday.
Okay, yeah, you can tell I'm not quite all the way back yet, but yeah. So Cubs, obviously the other team we wanted to highlight as far as offense goes, because they're in another world too as far as underachieving.
Yeah, it was today. Yeah, Yerminator was in relief pitching today. Yeah,
nice. I like that. All right, makes sense. Yeah. Mariners, by the way, they're off to their normal April start. They are in first place, 10-6. I don't put any stock, not even like a little stock. I don't put any stock into that.
Oh, screen. They have a negative 3-run differential of first place. That is not they will not be in first place. Oakland will surpass them in 2-3 days, and Oakland will be in first place.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And the last team we have to mention for the week, my Kansas City Royals. Mike Matheny, manager of the year prediction. They're off to a 9-5 start, Henry. Here they come.
No. 6 in AL and OPS.
78 wins, manager of the year. Mike Matheny is going to get over a team who wins like 102 because of the payroll.
They barely have a positive run differential. They're coming crashing down to earth soon.
I don't know. They're playing some nice all shucks Kansas City Midwestern baseball.
They're finding a way to win every game, and as a fan, that's all you want, right?
That's right. I would take 9-5 right now.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll have to monitor the Royals, see when that falls apart. But yeah, so that'll do it. That just turned into a long one, but we had to get a lot off our chest. I think the Yankees segment was 45 minutes. So that should be enjoyable.
I will say real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out. We did have Jackie Robinson Day on Thursday. Players who did not play on Thursday wore the jersey on Friday. That was always cool. I don't know if they did it in every broadcast, but they did it at the Yankees broadcast on Friday. At the end of every commercial break, they had a new Jackie Robinson photo of like from his private photos with his family. They had one with him and them. Just really, really cool that they were doing that. So another successful Jackie Robinson Day.
Yeah, one thing MLB does get right. I like everything they do for that. But yeah, so that will do it for us here, Dong City, here on a Monday. Coming up tomorrow, unless this changed while I was gone, we've got the Audible with Matt and Randy Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Step Back is now Friday. I always screw that up. Yep. Work Shoot on Thursdays. That's your wrestling podcast. And obviously, also, you have the fantasy version of our show in Total Bases on Sundays with Sean and Felipe. Join us next Monday, 7 p.m. We are back in normal rotation for the next edition of Dong City. Anyone have anything to add here, Rob? I see you came on camera. That usually means you want to talk.
No, not really. It's just the end of the show.
You're just showing your beautiful face for the end of the show. All
Rob
right.
is showing off the hat. Rob, let me see
And the
that.
hat.
That's what Rob is doing.
And the hat too, yeah.
Baseballvision.com. If anyone's interested, you should get it by May 31st if you order now. So there you go. No more pod jobbers, Jake. If you're behind on that, pod jobbers deceased, Work Shoot replace them. That's with Jason and Corey. They do a great job over there.
Like 6 months ago, Jake, get behind. What are you doing, bro?
Yeah, well, he's been watching so much Dong City, so I'll allow that. You just keep coming back every Monday, and we'll give you Cubs updates. So there you go. So that'll do it for Dong City. We're back next week. We'll see if the Yankees win a game between now and then. Now that I'm not in St. Pete, we'll see if I am pale again by next week. Lots of things on the table. Join us 7 p.m. a week from now. This has been Dong City. Everyone, have a great night.
Dong City, bitches.